welcome to another ranking video. I've been wanting to do this ranking for a while now. This is for the Star Wars film series, if you couldn't tell by the title. I'm doing this mainly because The Last Jedi just came out, and I rewatched all 8 movies, including Rogue One, before seeing The Last Jedi, so I've very much refreshed on all of the Star Wars films. This list is not going to include any spoilers for The Last Jedi. I won't, because it's still new, you know, it hasn't even been out for like a week yet, so I'm not going to say any spoilers from The Last Jedi, but I will, you know, give vague details as to why I think it's, you know, one of the better movies, actually, and I don't own it, obviously, yet, so I'm just using this ticket I got as like a representation for the movie, and also I got Luke here from the movie. But anyways, yeah, so in total there's 9 movies now, 8 episodes, and then Rogue One. The Han Solo movie comes out actually in May, which, you know, it's pretty soon. I'm surprised there hasn't been a trailer or anything yet. But this list is not going to include either the Clone Wars movie that came out back in 2008, I think it was, because frankly I've never even seen it, and I hear it's bad anyways. I wasn't really ever a fan of the Clone Wars animated show. The original Clone Wars show was good, though, the 2D one, not the 3D one. 2D animation, I mean. That show was pretty good. I like that one. But the newer Clone Wars show I never really watched. So, yeah. So this is strictly just the 8 live-action movies, or 9, excuse me, live-action movies. And this is just my opinion, of course. This is not fact. So if you guys have different rankings, you know, feel free to comment below what your ranking is or whatever. If you disagree with some of my choices, that's fine. I feel like my list is probably going to be very similar to a lot of other people's lists. You know, with the original movies, you know, a lot higher on the list, and the prequels a lot lower on the list. But anyways, so I'm going to go through each movie, and if you haven't seen any of the Star Wars movies, there are going to be spoilers. Aside from The Last Jedi, I won't talk about any spoilers from that, but Force Awakens, Rogue One are, you know, pretty recent. I'll probably talk about spoilers from there. And the original 6, of course, or original 6. I guess we have to call them the original 6 now. The prequels and the original trilogy are obviously going to have spoilers, probably. So anyways, let's start off the list. Coming in last place, number 9, is Attack of the Clones. Now, a lot of people would put Phantom Menace at the very bottom. Now, the reason I don't do that is because I actually had a VHS copy of Phantom Menace back when I was very young. And I used to watch The Phantom Menace all the time. Like, I kind of grew up on The Phantom Menace, so I kind of have, like, a soft spot for it. But it's not just that, either. Attack of the Clones is, like, it's a hard movie for me to watch. It's just, when I was marathoning all these movies, you know, I was watching one Star Wars movie a day before The Last Jedi came out. So the first day I had to watch Phantom Menace. That was already kind of bad as it was. But then the second day I had to watch Attack of the Clones, and I'm just like, oh my god. Thankfully everything just gets better after this, because Attack of the Clones is a movie that I've tried so many times to like. I've watched it numerous times. I don't know, just the love story with Padme and Anakin just didn't work for me. Hayden Christensen as Anakin was not good. You know, I'm sure it's just, you know, it has to do a lot with the writing and stuff like that. But he was good, though, in Revenge of the Sith. I'll talk about that later. Hayden Christensen was good in Revenge of the Sith, but Attack of the Clones, I don't know, it just didn't work. The movie also just looks horrible. I mean, the special effects. Now, obviously, in the prequels, all 3 used tons of CGI. That's what George Lucas did. And for some reason, Attack of the Clones, in my opinion, just looks way worse. Now, Phantom Menace actually came out in the 90s, 1999, actually. But, so they used actually some more practical sets and stuff like that. And, you know, when this originally came out, Yoda was a puppet in the movie. But this Blu-ray disc, you know, they actually changed it to CGI Yoda. But Phantom Menace, you know, actually looks more organic out of, you know, of the 3 prequels. Phantom Menace looks more realistic. Attack of the Clones just looks horrible. I mean, the CGI got better in Revenge of the Sith. There's still some bad parts with, you know, CGI in that movie, but Attack of the Clones just looks horrible. Like, every scene, the CGI just looks terrible. I mean, the first scene when they're in Palpatine's, you know, office or whatever, that room, the red room or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Everything just looks so fake. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I do like, though, in this movie that they had a whole lightsaber all the Jedi were in that arena fighting with their lightsabers. That was cool because we never seen anything like that in a Star Wars movie before. So I'm glad they kind of did that. Had us get a better understanding of how the Jedi, how powerful they were back in the day, how many of them there were. But Attack of the Clones, just I don't know. I don't like it. Like this is definitely my least favorite. Like Phantom Menace, like I said, it's not a good movie, but it has moments. Darth Maul's cool, but he doesn't really have much of a character. I can watch that, no problem. It's just Attack of the Clones, I can never get around to liking it. It's just something, there's a weird feeling about this movie. It's just way too, I don't know, it just seems so fake. I don't know. I don't like Attack of the Clones, really. It's definitely my least favorite Star Wars. Alright, so enough of that. And I wonder, too, if anybody else agrees with that, if Attack of the Clones is your least favorite, please let me know. I don't want to be alone on that. Because most people will just put Phantom Menace at the bottom. So coming in at number 8 is Phantom Menace. Bad movie, of course. Jar Jar Binks is, without a doubt, the worst part of this. I did like Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, but I do joke a lot that he was kind of wasted in this movie. He got killed, and his character mainly dealt with the midichlorian thing with Anakin, and I don't know. And then Jake Lloyd as Anakin wasn't good either. I mean, he was a child actor, but that was just kind of, I don't know. And another problem I had with Attack of the Clones, Anakin is way too much of a whiny teenager type. Phantom Menace, he's just a little kid. He does pod racing and all that. The pod race scene was cool, I guess, but it's kind of not necessary. I don't know, but I don't really hate Phantom Menace like everybody else does. I can watch it, no problem. Like I said, I had the VHS back in the day, so I honestly think this was the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. As much as I don't want to admit that, I think it was. I know when I was younger, though, I did see the original, so I know it's not like I just got into Star Wars. I've been a fan my whole life. But Phantom Menace, bad movie, but I don't hate it. Easier to watch for me, and it looks a lot more real, like I said. There's not an overabundance of CGI. So yeah, Phantom Menace, bad, but Alright, so coming in at number 7 is Revenge of the Sith. Now, what a surprise. The prequels are at the bottom. Now, don't take anything away from Revenge of the Sith. I actually put this a lot higher, in terms of, a hierarchical scale. I put this a lot higher than the previous two. This is miles better than Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Hayden Christensen did a great job in this movie, I thought. Some of the dialogue, though, of course, was horrible. Like, when he's talking to Padme and he's like, "No, I'm so in love with you." Like, that line just, that's cringy. But the fight with him and Obi-Wan was phenomenal. Probably the best lightsaber battle we've ever had in a Star Wars movie. And I love the ending of this movie where everything just turns, pretty much everything sets up the originals. Darth Vader is built. Obi-Wan goes into hiding, brings Luke to, Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. Leia is taken to her adoptive family. All that stuff was great. Order 66. This is a very dark movie, too, especially when I saw it in theaters back in 2005. I was only 9 years old, and I was watching Anakin get cut into pieces, burnt alive. I saw him, he was killing the younglings or whatever. Order 66. So this movie took a lot of different dark approaches. That's what I like about it. It's very, very much a tragedy of a movie. I still didn't really feel much investment in Padme and Anakin's relationship at all, but I did feel Hayden Christensen's performance was very good because he did convey a lot of emotions and he tried to save her, but he ultimately ended up killing her. So rewatching this recently, it holds up in my opinion. I don't hate Revenge of the Sith. My friend Rob, though, who I reviewed Last Jedi with, you can go check that review out. He hates Episode 3, but I personally really like it. I think it's a pretty good movie, actually. Yes, there's a lot of crazy CGI, and Palpatine, Darth Sidious in this movie is obviously amazing. Ian McDiarmid, phenomenal job in this movie, I must say. His character was so over the top, but everything he has done in this movie in particular is a meme. Like, everything's a meme now from Episode 3. Yeah, Revenge of the Sith, pretty good. Like I said, a lot better than the first two prequels. And Hayden Christensen, like I said, I can't give him enough credit. He actually did a very good job in this movie. And, Episode 2 wasn't so good for him. But, yeah. Anyways, so those are the bottom three. Now I'm gonna move on. Let me think. How did I? I had the ranking in my head. I think. Okay, next I go on to these two. All right. So I will have Rogue One in sixth place, right? Was it 9, 8, 7, 6? Yeah, this is sixth place. Okay. Now I've previously stated before that I actually liked Rogue One better than The Force Awakens. I've actually changed my opinion on that, rewatching all the movies. When I first watched Rogue One, I actually loved it. I know a lot of people didn't like the characters. Well, they like certain characters. They just thought nobody had any real character development. Jyn Erso, of course, and Cassian Andor, the main two characters in this, they didn't really have much character development. I mean, Jyn kind of did, but, you know, Cassian, not really. They didn't really have much layers to them. They were just random rebels that, you know, went and got the Death Star plans. But the last part of this movie, the beach planet, all the fighting on the beach planet was amazing. I loved all that stuff. And then, of course, the Darth Vader scene was amazing. It's just, I don't know, Rogue One's kind of lacking something in the first two-thirds of the movie, really. It's got a weird pace to it, you know what I mean? The way the story plays out. But I did love the feel of this movie. Like, it really did feel like an original trilogy movie made in, you know, the modern era, kind of like Force Awakens was. But that obviously takes place, you know, at the end of the story. This is supposed to be before Episode 4, and it really did fit in well. The look of the movie was nice, the direction was great. K2SO, great character, my favorite character from this movie. Chirrut Imwe, the blind guy, he was awesome. Great characters, definitely. Great look. It's just two-thirds of the movie, the beginning, it's just kind of weird pacing. I don't know. But this one, though, it's regardless, though, is very easy for me to watch. I really do enjoy watching this one once in a while. And Orson Krennic, the main villain, his character was funny. Every time something went wrong for him, it was hilarious. Whether it was, you know, Grand Moff Tarkin, you know, belittling him, or when they're on the rebels get to the beach planet, Scarif, right? And he's like, "What are you doing, you idiots? Deploy the garrison." Like, I don't know. And people complain, too, there should have been more Darth Vader in this movie. I mean, I don't know. It's not a big deal to me. It's more so about the rebel characters and getting the Death Star plans. It was cool that they included him in the movie, don't get me wrong, but I thought he was in it enough. I don't know. It would have been overkill if they kept putting him in there. But, like I said, good movie, but after watching it so many times, it's just, it doesn't hold up as well as when I first saw it, you know what I mean? So, Rogue One is in sixth place, right? Alright. Coming in fifth place is The Force Awakens, like I mentioned. Now, obviously, the prequels and Last Jedi are going to be above this in the top four. Now, The Force Awakens, when I first saw this, I loved it. I thought it was, like, almost on par with the originals. Not exactly on par, because, you know, it'd be crazy to say. But, over time, I kind of just lost interest in this movie. But rewatching it recently, I actually was surprised at how much I really enjoyed it again. And a lot of people do say, oh, it's very similar to the original Star Wars, you know, A New Hope, as it's called now. And yes, it has a lot of similarities, but there's also vast differences. Like Kylo Ren, the Kylo Ren character is nothing like anything in the in A New Hope, or the Finn character is nothing like any character from A New Hope. There are many differences in this movie, though. You got to really think about that too. And the tragedy of, you know, the Han Solo and Kylo Ren and Leia, whole family problem, and the fact that Luke, you know, appeared at the very end. I didn't mind that so much. A lot of people were mad about that, and he didn't have any lines, really. But I thought it was a very epic moment, very cool way to end the movie. And J.J. Abrams did a fantastic job directing this, because you got to keep in mind, he brought the universe back. He was the first person to bring this whole saga back after 10 years of, you know, no Star Wars movies. So he did a very good job. All the acting was great, of course. Harrison Ford was very good as Han Solo. Older Han Solo, who's got, you know, he's got a new problem, obviously, with his son. Yeah, just a very good movie. I originally, like I said, I liked Rogue One more than this one before, but now I feel like I like The Force Awakens a little more than Rogue One, because this one has a lot more to offer, I think. It's obviously part of a new trilogy, so, you know, Rogue One was a great standalone, but I felt like this one was probably overall better made, better story, better characters. So yeah, Force Awakens is number 5, so. Alright, now, coming in at number 4, now, I dare to say The Last Jedi was better than one of the original, like, well, the one above this is going to be Return of the Jedi, just to jump ahead a little bit. I dare to say this is probably better than Return of the Jedi, but I don't want to say that for a fact yet, because I've only seen the movie once, and a lot of people are very, very mad about this movie. This is probably the most polarizing movie I've ever heard of or seen. There's people that either love this movie, hate this movie, or just like, indifferent. I've never seen such a broad range of people, a broad range of opinions, actually. But me, I actually really did love this movie. I thought it was fantastic. Now, like I said, no spoilers, but if you want to know all my opinions on this, go watch my review I did with my friend Rob. It's almost like 40 minutes long, I think. The beginning of that review, we don't have spoilers, but at the end we do, so, it's not like a full spoiler video. But anyways, The Last Jedi was fantastic, in my opinion. It did take chances, it did do things differently. But the movie was very long, too. It's the longest Star Wars movie, so that means there's a lot going on in it. Luke was great, I thought. Mark Hamill did a fantastic job. And a lot of people complain about Luke because it's not the Luke you'd expect. But you got to imagine, too, this takes place 35 years, right? 35 or so years after Return of the Jedi, I think. Or 30 years, whatever it is. He's a very different person now. And, you find out stuff that happened in between then and now. And, but I thought it was fantastic. Rian Johnson did a great job with this. He's a great director. My favorite TV show of all time, Breaking Bad. He directed the best episode, Ozymandias. If anybody's a fan of that show. Kind of hit the camera. Whoopsie. Anyways, or my phone, I should say. I'm filming with my phone. But, yeah, The Last Jedi. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to see it in theaters a second time, but I'm obviously buying the Blu-ray, no question. I'm actually going to pre-order it later today, I think. They've already got the pre-order up on Best Buy for the Steelbook, too. And I saw it in IMAX. It was very nice looking. But I don't want to, like I said, I can't really say too much right now because it's fresh still. Not everybody's seen it. People watching this video probably haven't seen it yet. So I don't want to say too much, but in my opinion, it was better than The Force Awakens. It had a lot more to offer. It advanced the story in great ways. Kylo Ren was fantastic, too, in this movie. I don't hate him as much as when I first saw The Force Awakens. I really hated Kylo Ren because of obviously killing Han Solo, but this movie actually made me sort of indifferent on him. You know what I mean? I don't really love him. I don't hate him. I'm just kind of indifferent. But I feel like the third movie or Episode 9 will probably even change that more. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I thought this was better than The Force Awakens, so therefore I'm going to rank it above Force Awakens, and this is in the 4th place spot. I can't say for sure right now it's better than any of the originals, because I've only seen it once, and yeah, I have to process it more times I see it. But anyways, 4th place is The Last Jedi. I think that's fair. I was one of the few people that like really loved it that much, I think. I've seen some people say it's the best Star Wars movie ever. I've seen some people say it's the worst Star Wars movie ever. So, yeah, just a very polarizing thing going on here. And I was very surprised, The trailers made it look like it was going to be a certain way, but the movie turned out to be incredibly different. But I like when filmmakers take chances like that, you know what I mean? It's not a straightforward Star Wars movie. And don't you love, too, people complain that The Force Awakens was too similar to the previous, Episode 4 at least. Here we get something completely different, and here we go again, people are complaining. So, it's whatever, you can't really avoid it. People are just... You can't please everybody. So, anyways, I love the movie, though, and I rank it at number 4. Alright, so now, the top 3, obviously, are the originals. Now, I already said before, I placed Return of the Jedi. Would you look at that? Opened right up to it. At number 3. Now, this is my least favorite of the originals, but it's still a great movie. The thing is, when I was rewatching these movies, it had been a while since I'd seen Return of the Jedi, and I really did notice when I was watching 4, 5, and then 6 in order, that this was a very much downgrade from the previous two, in my opinion. Han Solo obviously did not have much to do in the Battle of Endor. A lot of people complain about that, and also the Ewoks. I don't mind the Ewoks so much, but the whole stuff at the beginning with Jabba's palace and having to rescue Han Solo and all that was really awesome. I love the opening to this movie. It's like a great big opening sequence. I love when movies have a great big opening sequence like that, with many things happening, and it takes up a whole 40 minutes, I think, too. And then of course you got the classic fight with Vader and Luke, with the Emperor there, And just a great ending to the original trilogy, for sure. But it's definitely a lot weaker, especially coming off the heels of Empire Strikes Back, which is arguably the best Star Wars movie ever made. Um, Still very good, though. Don't have much else to say. It's just you can. Does anybody else feel that way too? Like when you're watching it, you can tell it's just they took a step down in the quality. Not like in terms of production quality or anything, because everything looks amazing. The special effects are great, of course. The practical sets and all that stuff. But I don't know. It just does not feel as strong as the first two did. But it's a great conclusion though to the trilogy, and for what we thought were many years was the ending to the entire saga. But obviously they're continuing the story. But yeah, just a very good movie, but not as good as the first two is what I'm trying to say. All right, so coming in second place is A New Hope, and that tells you that Empire Strikes Back is number one. Now, A New Hope. Now, here's the thing. I've seen this Star Wars movie the most times. I'm sure everybody else has done the same because this is the original. It's the easiest to watch. It's the first time we meet the characters. It's got a very straightforward story. Yeah, I've probably seen A New Hope like maybe 10 times as many times as I've seen The Empire Strikes Back, to be honest. I do love The Empire Strikes Back, obviously. It's going to be my number one choice. But this movie is just, it's classic in all senses of the word, in all definition of the word classic. Now, I feel like A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back are like two of the greatest films ever made, period. I would not put Return of Jedi as one of the greatest films ever made, probably. In terms of like how everybody would rank the greatest films of all time, I don't think people would put this one on there. So a lot of people do agree with the fact that Return of Jedi is not as good. But A New Hope was a fantastic start to the story. You can tell, too, back in the day, 1977, when this came out, George Lucas and them obviously had no idea how big of a hit it would be. No one would know this would become probably the most famous movie franchise in history, most celebrated, at least. Of course, you had Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, all great in the movie. Darth Vader, voiced by James Earl Jones. It's just a classic movie. It really is. And my favorite Star Wars moment of all time is when Luke looks at the two sons, and it's a very simple moment, but the music's beautiful. Oh, John Williams, of course, I should mention, did the music for all the Star Wars movies, aside from Rogue One, but, he's a very fantastic composer. But, yeah, New Hope is it's a classic. Like, it really is. I don't want to say it's a perfect movie, but it's close. And like I said, very easy to watch. I've seen it a million times. And I almost want to put it in my number one, but I don't. And the reason why is because Empire Strikes Back is a movie that took many chances, and it changed things, completely. This was really the first time. Well, you could argue The Godfather Part 2 kind of did the same thing 10 years before this. Well, not 10 years before. Godfather Part 2 was 6 years before this, I think. I'm good with movie years, by the way. I think Godfather 2 came out in 1974, and then this came out in 1980. So yeah, 6 years. This movie was the bridge between, New Hope, Return of Jedi, as where everything went bad for all the characters, pretty much. I mean, Luke lost his hand, finds out Darth Vader's his father, Han gets frozen in carbonite. At the end of the movie, the characters feel kind of helpless, but at the same time, you feel like there's something good, on the horizon when they're staring out, and they're all on the ship at the end, and they're looking out the window. But this is just a very, very well-made movie. Of course, you got Yoda, his first appearance, played by Frank Oz. Do or do not, there is no try. Just great stuff. Training Luke, the battle on Hoth at the beginning. And what's crazy, too, the main action sequence of this movie is at the beginning of the movie. Normally, movies have the biggest fight scene or battle at the end. No, this movie had all the big stuff happen at the beginning, and then all the bad stuff happens to the characters at the end. You could argue the Darth Vader and Luke's fight was a bigger battle than the Hoth thing, but it really wasn't in terms of like the scale of what's happening. And of course, you got probably the biggest movie twist of all time. Darth Vader is Luke's father. Now, I wish I was alive back in the day to see this in theaters and, get a genuine reaction like that with an audience, like, oh my god, really? I really wonder if anybody was thinking that back in the day, he could be his father or something. But just, like I said, a classic movie in all terms of, in all sense of the word classic. Phenomenal sequel, one of the best sequels ever made, for sure, and like I said, a lot of people do say this is the best Star Wars movie ever made. It's hard for me to put A New Hope at second place, but it's a very close second. Like, it's very close. It's like a crumb difference, a crumb size difference. But you know, I can tell when they made The Empire Strikes Back. Obviously, it was a more popular thing. Star Wars, the first movie was the first movie. They didn't know what they were doing, really. I mean, when I say that, I mean it in the best way. They didn't know what they had in their hands. Empire Strikes Back, obviously, they capitalized on the success and, you know, had a higher budget and all that stuff. And you can tell when you watch this, it's a lot better overall in terms of quality and all that. So Empire Strikes Back is a phenomenal movie. It's got to be number one. But like I said, I haven't seen it as many times as I've seen A New Hope, but that doesn't mean anything bad. But I can't deny it really is the best Star Wars movie ever made. So, and yeah, so that is my list right there. If anybody has any disagreements with that, please let me know. I feel like people are going to be disagreeing with my choice on The Last Jedi, placing it in 4th place. And I really do feel like I'm going to really like this movie more when I watch it more times. And I might put it above Return of the Jedi. I'm not saying that for a fact yet, but it was really well made. But anyways, that's my list. Comment below with your list, your ranking. Let me know what you thought of this. And also, what do you think I'm going to be ranking next? I'm actually going to be doing another ranking soon. And if you have any suggestions for other rankings, please let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.